All right, let's dive in. There are two things this week that I want to touch on. The first, and this has come up over the past couple of weeks, one, when I was out at the conference, and then two, this week visiting schools. One of the pieces that we need to make sure we're continuing to create clarity around is distinguishing between social and emotional skills and mental health. They get interlinked, they get connected. Sometimes people will use those words interchangeably. They are not the same. They are building blocks of one another. A way to think about it is that social and emotional skills are this proactive way to develop skills around those competencies in order to have a healthy mental health, right? So when we're on the mental health side, that may look a little bit more tiered, that may look a little bit more specific to individual needs. The social and emotional skill development is kind of that foundational layer in order to have a healthy mental health. So they are building blocks of one another, but they are not the same. And that's important when organizations or districts and schools are talking about mental health, and they utilize social and emotional skills as the replacement. There's difference. You can go to CASEL.org, and they do a really great job of just breaking that down even further. But I wanted to bring awareness to that piece. The other one is something that I've talked about constantly, and just the idea that we have to start with the adults and we have to start with the leaders. Why? That's the big question, is why do we start with adults when we're talking about schools? Why do we start with leaders when we're talking about organizations? Because if we want things to scale, if we want things to be sustainable, if we want things to be integrated and live foundationally in just the culture and how people and others function and operate, it has to be modeled. That's one of the biggest pieces. That's one of the reasons why when it comes to Come Home's framework and we use the self-other systems, it's really taking the idea of what you say you value and you do and you believe in, is that actually represented in your daily, day-to-day actions. And through the conversations recently, through being in a school this week, through having conversations as it relates to my research question for school, I'm spending a lot of time understanding and looking at leadership and how that really impacts and shows up in this idea of collective belonging and that whole process. But one of the things I've started to understand and see is that style of leadership, this emotionally intelligent leadership, this relational leadership, really is all about modeling. It's all about living it. It's all about doing it. It's not actually anything about saying it. It's when you say you value something, when you say you believe in something, when you say you prioritize something, it translates into protocols, norms, structures, interactions, and that is what shows people the way. That's what shows people how to do it. One quick example is I was talking to a leader and they were talking about how much it's important for them to take time to just connect and build relationships. And one of the ways to do that was when students were coming into the building, it could be really easy for a leader to get pulled in a certain direction. And one of the things that they did was made it a point to greet students when they walked into the building, right? So students are coming in, this principal is there saying hi to people, interacting with people, mingling, etc. Walking the hall, saying hi to teachers, all this stuff. What they started to notice over time was that their teachers started to meet their students at the door. It wasn't a, you need to do this. It wasn't a, this is the expectation. The idea was this leader said, I really want us to be relationship focused. I want us to create a warm, welcoming environment. And so I'm going to do that strategically by greeting people when they're in the building, no matter what. That time is protected to interact with students, interact with staff. What did they notice over time? Teachers started doing the same thing. They modeled it. That's the most important thing. That's when it comes to the work and research out of Yale. They talk about focusing on adults. That's why when I'm looking at how does this work become sustainable and scalable, the lever is leaders, the lever is the adults, and how are they actually modeling this work? And so I want to name that. This is something I've talked about constantly, and I'm just continuing to see it kind of showing up in action and just the impact and the power it has. It's not about what you say you're going to do. It's about what you do in the behaviors.